All right, I got the setup pretty much finished. I might take away or add to the shelf. Doesn't matter. Anyway, you're gonna see the rise of socialism because of what is going on with our economy at this time. You're seeing these corporations not take care of people, like especially the medical industry, when they're getting these record profits, and like I was trying to say in my other video, Jeff Bezos spending $50 million on a wedding. When people see that, and they're like not getting by at all, they're barely getting by if they even are. You wonder why the youth doesn't want to work, because they feel like they're not going anywhere. They're not going. There's no room to go up. It's almost like the rich people have worked their way up. Some of them, like Tim Pool, and they pulled the ladder up behind them, and they didn't even know that. Maybe they didn't know that they were doing that, or I'm hearing. I was listening to a culture war debate on Tim Pool's show today, and somebody said something about like how it is for young people, and then he was basically like, "Why don't you all just go ahead and walk out if you aren't getting treated right?" And it's easy for somebody rich like that to say that. He's a millionaire. He makes really good money. He doesn't have to worry about where his next meal is coming from. He's not going to have to worry about getting kicked out of his place. No, a lot of people are forced to have to do these jobs. It's not like people want to do these jobs. And I understand Tim Pool, he came from meager beginnings. But to see how things are, the whole dream of, or how it did happen in the past. Is this thing like blurry? What does it matter? No one cares what I have to say anyway. Like this whole idea of the American dream. If you work hard, then you should be able to produce value for yourself independently. It doesn't feel like that anymore. It feels like we're just working and getting by, and we can't build nothing for ourselves. I personally feel like I can't do much living in reality. Not only is it really expensive to live in reality, to go do things. Yeah, it'd be cool to go do things, but at the end of the day, that stuff costs a lot of money. And when you already feel like you're living check to check, basically, you don't have time for that type of stuff. So like, oh, we're having a demographic collapse. Yeah, people can't afford to even date, let alone have kids. So you're going to see people just vote to take other people's stuff away. It's going to, and the funny thing is, like, these people in charge don't recognize this. They're not doing anything to make things better. In fact, they're like making it worse. I try to give Trump the benefit of the doubt, and I'm still sitting back and I want to see what happens. The dude's only been in there 6 months. I want to see, because these people on the left are children. They expect, when he said stuff like, I can fix the economy overnight. If you know anything about the economy, which all this is highly complex stuff, if you know anything about it, the economy doesn't shift dramatically one way or the other, unless you do dramatic things, like paying people to stay home, like in 2021 and 2020, stuff like that. But generally speaking, you're not going to be able to, unless you're a dictator and like force things in there, kind of like that guy in Argentina. Enforce your will, enforce all your policies through. So just like whatever the left That's not what we have right now. It's Trump trying to placate to the left and trying to push his policies through, and hopefully they go through. And then you're just getting all this resistance. If you want it to go for the better, if you want to change things for the better and to be a real quick response, you can't have any type of resistance at all to your policies. To have economic change. I'm not saying like the whole trickle down economics that he does. It's okay. I think that it's better than like having people on welfare. Keep bringing people on welfare, even people that aren't even legal, and putting them on welfare. This is a multi-dimensional problem. You know, the left is like, oh, it's just the corporations and the greed, and the right's all like, it's just the government. When I say it's both, they're both. Now, I'm not saying that they're both equally responsible. I think the government holds a big share of the responsibility of why things are the way they are, and that comes back on us because we vote to put these people in. But to say that capitalism is working right now, it's not. It's working for the haves, yes. And it has worked for the haves. And I don't mind it working for the haves. I don't mind being a have-not, but I should be able to feel like my life isn't going to be over if I have a dramatic injury or if I have kids. How are these things going to be paid for if we don't have jobs that pay us to take care of our families? We need good paying jobs, and there just really isn't that. And we're at a time where we're seeing the innovation of AI. We don't know what jobs are going to be replaced. You know, when I think of jobs being replaced, I think white collar jobs will probably be replaced first, unless the companies basically keep people on to do nothing just because they want to keep their positions or whatever, when there's no need to. When what should happen is those jobs need to be eliminated because they make so much money to do nothing, and then that money, instead of going to record profits for the company, needs to go back down to the lower workers. You can't have the lower workers are low status and not being paid well, not being taken care of. Just like I said on my other video, I said it felt like any type of raise I was getting for years at my other job where I had health insurance, it felt like it wasn't a raise, it just went to pay for the health insurance increase, and that's not a raise. That's not a raise. Especially when the health insurance gets shittier and shittier. How is it a raise when it's like, yeah, your weekly premiums, you're not having to pay more for that, but like they're doing less and less for me, the insurance company. Like, this does not need to be happening, you know. So there's a huge. If you ever notice, it's always the people who are the haves. It's always the rich people, the high status YouTubers. They're the ones that are always like, "You're a pussy" to like people like me. You know, the way that they talk to that kid is like, like I get it. Like, yeah, the dude needs to earn his stripes. He was young, but it doesn't take away from the fact that you're not listening to their issues. You're not caring about their issues. You think that they're just lazy. They're not lazy. How about you work as hard as you're working for nothing, and see how long you want to continue to do that, especially when you're doing something you don't even want to do. Tim Pool, and which is I'm glad he finally admitted that he's a workaholic. A lot of these people on the internet, they push for you, to live like the perfect life. Like, there's no way that most of us are going to live perfect lives. We've come from all different types of backgrounds. We've come from all different types of struggles, and just have this blueprint of like the perfect man that does this, reads this much, puts this much journaling, and like goes to the gym so much and saves this much money. It's just like you don't give yourself any type of reward, or even some other things is like I'm not supposed to like comfort. The comfort is supposed to be the enemy. So what am I striving for? If comfort is the enemy, shouldn't I just give away everything that I get? You know what I mean? Like, for me, somebody that's a creative type, and when I think of myself as a creative type, I don't think of myself as like anywhere near the creative that have existed. But for the creative people I see nowadays, I look at myself, if I was to get myself a grade on creativity when I was growing up in my prime, I would put myself probably at a D-, an F+. It was atrocious. Nowadays, I could put myself maybe a B, maybe a B+. That's how much society has changed. So for the creative type of people like me, I like solitude, I like comfort, I like leisure. It gives me time to think, it gives me time to create, it gives me time to come up with different kinds of concepts, ideas. I don't come up with ideas when I'm in a group of people and I'm trying to brainstorm, like trying to come up with ideas just to throw it out the wall. No, I like to see something, contemplate it, let it simmer a little bit, and maybe I come up with an idea. Maybe it's a shit idea. Maybe I make it better in the future. Maybe somebody else comes up with something to make it better. But not all of us are the same. And they talk about UBI. Like, what good could UBI do? Yeah, you're gonna have people that abuse UBI. You will. And it would be nice, like, if companies actually wanted to pay us right and take care of us, and we wouldn't need UBI. But we're not being taken care of. Like, the system that we have right now, we're not being taken care of. Our health insurance is a fucking joke, and they're supposed to supply us with health insurance. Basically, I almost feel like I would rather just get paid the federal minimum wage and you pay for everything. You pay for my health insurance all the way. Because it's like, the more I make, the more they take out in taxes. And it's such a horrible spot to be in the working class right now. An essential worker. Not only did we see everybody around us get paid to stay home in 2020 and 2021, not only did they get paid to stay home, they actually made more than they did when they were working. But we had to keep going to work, and we kept doing it. And it was like the stimulus that came out should have been just for us. It shouldn't have been for anybody else. It should have only been for the essential workers. Because we're the ones that were fucking busting our ass, and we're still the ones busting our ass. And it feels like we're the ones shouldering the load for everything. And people are getting tired of it. And you're going to see people vote more and more socialism. And you can blame the corporations because they're not doing anything to stop it. In fact, they're doubling down on their bullshit. They're not doing anything to help people. They don't look at anything but like their bottom line quarterly. It's fine for you to get profits. That's fine, because it's understandable. We want you to make your machines better. We want you to be able to supply your employees with the things that they need to be able to produce the stuff that you have. Of course, we want those types of things for you. We want you to have profit so you can pay for that. But you don't need record profits every fucking quarter, every fucking year. You need to start giving back to the people who actually like do the hard work, do the hard labor. If it wasn't for us, the ones that do all the hard work, you wouldn't exist. Then it comes to like, what is more important, the business or the customer? Well, you can't have one without the other. I asked AI, so what was more important? And it said, basically the customer is more important. You know, that's why when back when I was growing up, back in my day, there was a census of, and this was a lot, the customer is always right. Where did that go? Where did the customer is always right go? Because I never hear that nowadays. Because they don't care. These companies, this is what I'm saying, these aren't startup companies no more. These are corporations that don't care if they lose your business or not. So if they don't care if they lose my business or not, because they have so much resources, how am I going to continue to fight for them? You know, like, how am I going to continue to fight for capitalism so they can make a profit if they don't care about their customers anymore? You can look at Disney and any of these companies that did the woke crap. That, you know, if you're in a business, you pretty much don't want to have a political bias either way. You just want to make money. However, like, considering what we've been through, if you were an anti-woke, and maybe even right now, if you're anti-woke and you're a startup, you probably could do fairly well by gaining popularity. You could go viral, getting your name out there more. Now you're going to get bad publicity from the left, but who cares? So, you know, it's all about selling your product. And if nobody knows who you are, and then now you make a name for yourself, even if it's something like anti-woke, you're still going to generate more money, you know, than you were before if nobody knew who you were. So, like, yeah, you can definitely do that in this landscape, but traditionally you didn't want to do either side. And the companies who were already established, who decided to go woke, they've showed that they care more about their political narratives than they actually cared about their customers. And that's what, when you're in a business, you should care about your customers first, not your political bias. So that's where we're at. And we're just tired of this shit. We're just fucking tired of the way things are going. We want good things. We want great things to happen. Because we're tired of losing. How many people feel like they've just been losing, constantly losing, like a slow losing? Your lifestyle is going down and down because of the dollar, you know, the devaluation of the dollar, and then the corporate greed too as well, because they like to price gouge. They like to raise these prices and then not pay their employees. They raise the prices and they keep their employees at the same pay rate. Like, what are we doing? How am I supposed to defend capitalism when that's just going on? I'm not a socialist. I'm not a socialist at all. And I think that, like, socialism is the worst thing. UBI. Well, like, yeah, when there's no jobs and you have a bunch of people that, what do you do with these people? You just let them starve? What do? You have robots making everything, and who are they making the stuff for? Nobody? Like, the stuff needs to be really, really cheap, or... I mean, when the robots are doing all the jobs and you don't need us to do the jobs anymore, like, how are we supposed to have any type of economic system? I would like to know this.